Okay, let's swear everybody in. At both at the same time, our guys and your guys. If everybody could raise their right hands
And Jim, if your twin could change his name so we actually know who he is, that would be cool.
Yeah, Dan, that upper right-hand corner of your screen, there's a blue square. If you put your cursor on it and right click, and you should be able to rename yourself.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Just hover over that upper right corner.
I was thinking you really changed your look.
Well,
I was
Change
thinking
that.
that too.
And my first thought too, I was like, oh my gosh, what happened to Jim?
what happened to Jim? Exactly. Been a long year,
Somebody on
guys. Been a long
vacation.
year.
It's been a long year.
I ran into Jim's mother-in-law in some bizarre circumstances on Friday, and I actually was telling her that I wish I had a clone of Jim. So here we have it.
We got him.
Okay, I clicked apply. Did it?
No,
No,
Yeah.
it didn't change your name.
Oh, here's another name. Okay, oh, I see. Okay,
There you
There
go,
you
Dan.
go. Nice.
great, thanks.
If everybody's going to testify, raise their right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
I did.
I do.
If
Yes.
we can go around first with the 469 Ewing witnesses and then our own experts, and give you a full name, spell your last name.
Sure. James Kamalak, CHMIELAK, engineer, Kensho Resources.
Dan Burke, landscape architect, Rock Paper Garden.
For them. Dan Dobromilsky, landscape architect for the municipality, DOBROMILSKY.
Justin Lesko, planning director, LESKO, planning director.
Jim Purcell, acting land use engineer, PURCELL. And I actually am not here to testify on this, but if you need my assistance, I'm happy to jump in. I'm here for 900 Harrington.
I see Marina's name. Is she not testifying though?
Hi, I wasn't planning on it since this is not architecture related, but I'm here in case anybody has any questions or anything.
Yeah, I don't see a need.
Ryan, is that correct?
Yeah, I don't really see
Okay, so I'll just quietly mute myself and hang out here in case anybody needs me.
And we have a few other staff members from my office that are here, but we don't expect them to testify.
Okay.
When we get started, Justin?
Yes, please do.
So, good morning, everyone. This is the Landscape Subcommittee meeting of October 1st. The first application is 469 Ewing Street, previously known as IO Deli. I think I said that right. I can share my screen and put up the landscape plan. Are you seeing it?
Just about.
It's starting.
Sort of.
Part of it.
There
There
you
it
go.
is.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay, so if you remember this plan, let me see if I can zoom out just what happened. There we go. So Ewing Street is here. If you recall, I think there was a single home on the property and they got approval to put in, I can't remember the numbers, 2 dwellings and 2 ADUs, I think, if I recall properly, with the idea of a single central driveway and kind of parking court in the middle. And so with the conditions there were 4 conditions for the landscape subcommittee, or that may relate to the landscape subcommittee. The first condition was to show a phantom sidewalk that could be constructed in the future when there was other sidewalk along Ewing Street, and they are showing that. The second condition was to prepare a more detailed landscape plan, subject to review and approval by the landscape subcommittee. It was required that the plan use native species of appropriate offer appropriate root protection zones, and shall be subject to approval by the municipal landscape architect and arborist. They've done that. That's what this plan is. The comments back to you that I sent to you on August 13 indicated that they have shown the protective root barriers. And however, the plan did not exclusively use native species. In particular, there were some street trees that were called out as Macchia. And then there were some of the shrubs around the units were included some boxwood, some non-native boxwood, some non-native smokebush, cotinus, and some allium, and I think there's also some nandina.
Yes.
And not large quantities, but they were there. And I'd suggested that they consider alternates for those. Just for context, there are 33 new trees, 127 new shrubs, and 86 new perennials proposed on the plan. And the number of non-natives was a very small number in comparison to that. They did change the Macchia to a different native species in response to the comments, but they would prefer to keep the non-native boxwood, smokebush, allium perennial, and the nandina on the plan. And those are pretty much like foundation plantings on the plan. And I did review that and noted that of those species, none of them are on the non-native or the invasive plant list, strike list that is commonly used. Nandina can be a little bit invasive. So it's really a matter of that's the main question of this meeting, I think, is it acceptable for them to use a few of those shrubs around the foundation of these buildings, or would you prefer that they try and change everything over to native? And why don't we come back to that, because that's the main comment. I'll cover the other two comments and get them out of the way, if that makes sense to everyone. So the third condition was that they properly label or red maple as a native species. They did that. And the final one was that if there is any stormwater management or rain gardens required, that they should be subject to review and approval. If you remember, at one time they were talking about putting a rain garden in the front. According to this plan, at least, that is not currently proposed, which I'm assuming means that it's not yet necessary or hasn't been deemed to be necessary. So based upon that, it really comes down to some boxwood, some smokebush, some allium, and some nandina, which is heavenly bamboo, whether the committee feels comfortable that in very small quantities that's acceptable or not.
Mhm.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. First I want to maybe hear from the landscape professional why those are so important.
Yeah, sure. So the boxwood, it's a total of 4 D-Runk boxwood, which is a fairly compact, fastigiate, upright evergreen. And I have them located at the upper and lower corners of the 2 ADU units. And to find a native evergreen, which I'm already using a bunch of native evergreens around the perimeter screening that could stay that compact, would be a bit of a challenge. So I've used these boxwoods many times. They're disease resistant pretty much. They're not invasive. So it seemed like it was a good candidate just to give that evergreen vertical punctuation. The cotinus, the smoke bush, there's 2 of those, and they are at the top of the front, the top of the 2 dwelling units. There's a purple symbol like a big spider on the top, and then there's one at the bottom, a mirror image. Those I just wanted to bring in because that's a fairly compact smoke bush, and I wanted to try to extend the flowering time a little bit because they flower much later in the season and they have a really spectacular fall color. As I said, they stay compact. They're non-invasive. And then the other Nandina, are in the front of the foundation planning of both the houses. And that was, again, just to give a little bit of color diversity, because they have a really nice leaf color that changes over the course of the season. They have a nice little berry, a small flower, and they have a very compact growth habit. And they're all pretty much, as much as you can be, deer resistant. And then the last one is the allium, which is a perennial, a flowering onion. And those, whenever I plant those, that's like my client's favorite plant, and it flowers late in the season, and it has a really nice little globe head that blows in the wind, and it's a good pollinator. They're not invasive, so I just thought that would be maybe that would be something we could work with. If not, I could find substitutes. I think it would just cut back a little bit on the aesthetic of the overall landscape plan sequentially as it goes through the seasons.
Okay, thanks. All right, let's open it up to questions. Any questions about these selections? I can't see
I
that.
saw Dave's hand up and
Yeah,
I
go
don't
ahead.
know.
Go ahead, David.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. I just wonder whether I find the landscape architect's testimony convincing, but I want to go back to what Dan Dobromilski touched on in regard to the absence of a rain garden in these plans. And it's more of a question for Jim, but it seems like there's a lot of new impervious coverage compared to the existing condition. And I'm just curious how you are managing stormwater if it's not with rain gardens.
Sure. I guess specifically that we have not increased any of the impervious coverage with this plan. We are still below that 36% impervious coverage pursuant to the approval. And also, if you recall, we had the ADUs at the front of the property originally and the single family at the rear. And that lended itself to the possibility of using a rain garden in the front yard because the ADUs don't have basements. But now that it's switched, um, and the lower portion of the property at the rear, we have the ADUs. We're actually, if you recall, it's been a long time, so we don't really recall the details of this, but we're utilizing pervious pavement here within the common driveway for green infrastructure. And then we're also conveying the relatively small amount of water that we need to infiltrate as part of underground storage, which is near this ADU in the upper left-hand corner of the property. So we're still managing all of the required stormwater management, and the engineering staff had reviewed that and found that satisfactory. But again, because the plan has changed and the building locations have changed, and this is also sort of the more upland area, the front of the buildings from a drainage standpoint, this is the system that works for us.
Uh-huh. Okay, and Jim Purcell, all that, you or Dan Weissman looked at that. Are you familiar with those conversations?
I am not, but Dan had, before he left, signed off on all of this. And I was just now looking at the plans because I noticed, because this came up, and I do see the pervious asphalt pavement and the under drain system. And I haven't looked at the stormwater calculations, but I'm going to put my faith in Dan Weissman, who signed off and issued the compliance review. So
Okay. Okay, great.
Okay, great. Other questions? I think,
Yeah,
yeah, Louise?
sorry, I should use my raise hand icon.
No worries. My screen is really small, so I'm having trouble seeing everybody. Okay.
If you want me to stop sharing, I can.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. I can.
No, I like having it up there. I first want to say I think that it's a really interesting landscape plan, and I commend the landscape architect for some very cool and interesting plant choices and all. I am concerned about the Nandina. First of all, this is maybe my own ignorance, but I thought Nandina was native maybe there's also a native plant called Nandina. But so I'm not familiar. So is it must not be like other landscape bamboos? Can you
It's
talk about that? Because bamboo makes me very
yeah.
nervous.
It's one of the problems with common names. Heavenly bamboo, it has that name because it has a bamboo-like, sort of slightly bamboo-like leaf shape. It's not
Mhm.
it's not in the bamboo family. It's not it's not a terrifying runner that travels everywhere. And this particular one that I'm using, the Gulfstream, is a dwarf compact one. It gets about maybe 24 to 30 inches. So it's sort of like a spirea size-wise.
Mm.
I
So
think it may be more common in the South, and that's why it's not kind of native
Oh.
here.
mhm. Okay, right. So yeah.
So it is native to the South,
But, I'm
or
trying to remember. It doesn't show up. I mean, Gulfstream suggests to me that it's a native to the South in particular, and I think I remember looking that up before and finding that out. But it's definitely not native to New Jersey.
I don't think it is native to the South. It's I think it's Asian
I can try and look that up.
originally, but it may be more widely used in the South. But yeah, sorry, I didn't raise my hand either, but you might want to consider alternatives to that, winterberry holly or red twig dogwood that could also add some visual interest and then
Right. Yeah.
be native.
I agree with that. I mean, I love berries, berry plants, and they have such great benefits for wildlife, but the non-native ones tend to have much lower nutritional value and et cetera, some, more sugar, less fat or something like that. And so if you can pick a berry that is native, those are good suggestions.
I don't know about it, but is the plant poisonous? I mean, it has berries, so it might be better to choose a native version that has berries birds can actually eat.
Okay, right. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the compact red twig's nice.
It's native to Asia, China and Japan and India, but it was introduced in America in the 1800s and has become kind of prevalent.
It's like wisteria; it's everywhere.
Yes. So.
Anyway, that's the one that jumped out at me, and I tend to be pretty uncompromising when it comes to native plants, but there's so many interesting native plants on here. I'm not going to die in a ditch over 4 boxwoods and 2 smoke bushes and some perennial nodding onions or whatever they are, and they are really cool looking. So
that sounds good.
So is that a kind of a consensus that the heavenly bamboo is the one we would like you to change, but the other ones are acceptable?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Pallavi, did you have anything else?
No, I don't have anything else. Otherwise, I think it's a really nice plan. So I think it'll be amazing to see this.
Great.
You're really thoughtful. David, any other comments?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Well-
So, yeah, it sounds like that's the only one. And we need to vote on this, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It looks
So-
like Mr. Burke, were you trying to say something?
I was just looking for my little hand icon. Just one quick note I just wanted to make regarding the perimeter screen planting along the property lines. Those locations, I mean, with screen planting, when you have existing materials in and there's some regrading being done, those are conceptual locations. They're approximate, but depending on when some of the existing screen hedging is cleared out of its invasive vines and things like that, we may move some things around to get better screening. But that's just sort of general practice with screen planting versus foundation.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. That's what we
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay, great. So given that, is there a motion?
I'll move approval with the amendment we
Oh, thanks, Polly. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Thank you so much for coming in. This was very helpful. Very, very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Everyone.
Thanks.
All right. So I guess we'll move on to 900 Herrontown. Dan, did you want to talk about your memo?
Yeah, so basically, let me see, I can show you, but or I could just read it. There was a condition in the approval for 900 Herrontown that indicated that I'll read it verbatim. It was on page 17, condition N. The applicant shall work with the landscape subcommittee, in the planting of a buffer along the property's southern boundary with Old Orchard Lane development, and shall plant more evergreens within the buffer with trees of at least 6 to 7 feet at the time of planting. Prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy, the landscape subcommittee shall conduct a site inspection to evaluate if additional buffer landscaping is required. So I guess they're asking for occupancy or certificate of occupancy. They may have some type of occupancy already started. And if you recall, this is at the corner of Herrontown Road. Is it Herrontown on both sides?
Herrontown and Mount Lucas.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Herrontown and Mount Lucas. And if way back, it was, I think, an office building was approved, and now it's affordable housing project.
It was also subject of litigation with the neighbors. And I remember specifically that there was some discussion of planting on the neighbor's property to make the buffer more effective, because there was concern whether there was enough space on the subject property. And so that's my big question, is whether, I mean, I know the litigation was resolved in our favor, but is there anyone at Old Orchard who we can talk to about whether they would like to have some buffer planting on their side of the property line? Because that seems important.
Right. So my recollection is that when it was the office building, that definitely was the case. We actually had a plan to plant on their side of the property. With the project as it is now, the landscape plan does not show any planting on that side of the property, on off-site, basically. It does show a fence, which they've installed. So there's a wood fence, and they have a very good landscape plan. Now, the problem is the implementation of that landscape is extremely poor. And so that's why I really didn't, I forget who, Justin or Ian, asked me to go out and look at it. And I was going out there thinking I would look at it and say, oh, the planting's looking pretty good, maybe add a tree or two. And when I got out there, I looked at it and said, well, the number of the buffer trees are dead and or missing. They didn't really follow the plan very well. And across the site, there's a lot of dead and declining landscape plants all over the place. And I think Jim had Taylor go out and look at it, and he had similar findings. And I didn't want to get into the detail of reviewing every plant on the site, because I didn't want to raise up fees on an affordable housing project. So I just looked at the buffer, said, this isn't right. And then I got back to Ian and Justin and said, there's a problem here. And that I don't even think it's worth the time of the landscape subcommittee going out to look at it, because it's unacceptable as it is. So that's kind of where we're at. The question really came down to, is there pressure on them to get a CO for some type of funding or stuff? And how do we deal with that? Because the timeline for landscape is not good. If they stick with this contractor, they're going to have difficulty getting this done quickly.
But I also know that there are warranty provisions, for years after occupancy to replace dead plants. So it seems,
that is definitely the case under law for buffers. But they recently changed the law so that it does not necessarily cover everything else.
Wow, really?
Yes. I don't know if Jim, if you know if they're bonded for everything or just the buffer.
No, they're bonded just for the buffer and the municipal improvements, the walkway that was constructed. Actually, no, I should say the maintenance guarantee, the bond itself is actually based on 100% of the improvements. I forgot that, but it's only 15% of the cost of all the improvements. But I think you're right, Dan, that legally we can only compel them to fix the landscape buffer and the municipal improvements. I will say, though, that the developer / manager has been very cooperative. Actually, unfortunately, has already replanted all of the dead trees that were identified by Taylor, and Taylor went out with their landscaper, flagged the trees that needed to be removed and replaced. They've been removed and replaced. They did have a deadline of yesterday. So it's my understanding a CO has been issued. The maintenance bond will be in our hands soon. And I just sent a memo to this subcommittee through Justin. I don't know if he's had a chance to distribute it. It was half an hour ago or 45 minutes ago. That my recommendation is that we work with them with the maintenance bond. The maintenance bond won't get released until the landscaping is satisfactory to everybody in over the next 2 years. They were sweating it out to get that CO yesterday because of the expiration of certain obligations.
So it sounds like.
Why am I on twice? Who's logged in as me?
You're in there twice.
Somebody's got my name.
Got me.
Not me.
It's interesting.
It sounds to me like the best way to handle this would be to, get them to do what we can under the performance bond, and then either have this group go out just to address that condition of approval and sort of check the box, but realize that we don't have a lot of leverage, even if we do go. But I wouldn't do it before the work has been done that we're able to get them to do.
No, and we literally told them not, to wait until next month to replant.
Right.
And he came in 2 days later and said, I've already replanted everything. Well, we'll see if they survive the winter.
Right. I mean, that might.
Well, I mean, this is a really good time to plant trees and shrubs if you take care of them, and that's been their issue. I mean,
Well, 2 weeks ago, it wasn't the greatest time in the
Exactly.
world to plant.
We just came into that.
It was in the upper 80s and dry, and
oh yeah,
it was
no,
not.
3 weeks ago was right. Okay.
This was, I mean, now the month of October is probably going to be nice, but we're still facing 80 degrees and 0 rain. So,
and in my sorry, Jim, in my conversation,
I mean, you've got my memo. That was my recommendation, that we just work with them and make sure as 100, and as Dan said, as 100% affordable, we felt compelled to assist them in getting their CO and getting out from underneath their financial obligations that were expiring.
And I totally appreciate that. Thank you for helping.
I do too. And I do think that, between Dan and Taylor, if we can just be really attentive and work with them to make sure their contractor's doing it right, because they obviously, even if they planted it at an inopportune time, they also didn't take care of what, whatever, they messed it up. And this company, RPM, they have an excellent reputation for for good projects. So I don't think I think they probably care, but their contractor just blew it. So if we can just ride them and help them however we can within reason, that would be
It,
good.
it seems in my conversations with Taylor, the arborist, it seems like this most recent replanting wasn't, it wasn't set up to fail necessarily. It was just done sloppily, not to what he would expect, physically for it to look like. And I think that just comes from them trying to turn it around in 2 days so then they could get the CO 4 days later or whatever the timeline was. So I think with this approach, by actually giving them more time, if they're not doing it in a hasty way, like you said, Louise, they're a good company and they'll get it sorted out by the time that they want that maintenance bond back.
Yeah, and one concern I have is that their subcontractor, who's ever doing the landscaping, if they did it sloppily, they could have left the burlap around the bag, they could have left the roots going like this. And so the tree will live more than 2 years, but it'll never thrive, and that's the kind of thing I just want to make sure we really try to protect against, is sloppy as much as completely incompetent. So I'm not disagreeing with you at all,
Understood completely. Yeah. No.
Jim, would it make sense to kind of revisit this maybe in the early spring and see how it looks?
I completely agree with that approach. Yeah.
And then we can have the landscape subcommittee look at it at that point and offer input.
Yeah, but I will remind you, the biggest thing about this, the condition was whether or not the buffer is sufficient, right? That was what, and I don't know whether or not anybody can even say that until whatever's been planted actually grows.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of trees that are lining up next to this fence that is that a sufficient buffer? You don't know until it's over. And Dan, I don't know. I happened to drive down Old Orchard day before yesterday. I did notice some new trees on that side of the fence.
I think they're really old. The remnant. Maybe I haven't been there in like a week or so. But there are some things that were planted a while ago that are there. But the plan that went with the office building had a robust planting on the Old Orchard side.
Yeah, I know it wasn't robust, but I did see what looked like new trees planted. And maybe that was the Old Orchard Homeowners Association that planted trees. But
All right, so it sounds like we're gonna wait till spring and revisit this.
Yeah, the maintenance bond is how long, Jim?
2 years.
2 years from today?
From the issuance of, 2 years from, hold on,
Release.
for a period of 2 years, from execution of the maintenance agreement. And it hasn't been executed. It was just sent to them yesterday.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're not 6 months in or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so does it require any action on our part or no?
No, we just wanted to keep you in the loop on this one because this looked like it was going to be, like Dan said, a simple one where then we sign off and they move on after 6 years of approvals. But obviously it's not going to be that.
Is that site open now? I mean, could
Yes.
I park
Yes.
and walk around? Okay, because I drive by there pretty frequently, and so I've been curious about actually stopping in and walking around and.
Yeah, I believe they already have tenants.
Okay, good.
Great. David, did you have a comment?
No, I was just, I was looking for the chat so I could message that I need to jump off.
Oh, okay, yeah, you gotta go to that retirement party, right?
Well, actually, I got the day wrong for that, but I
That
have
was
something
yesterday.
else that
He missed
they're
it.
taking a new photo for the municipal website, and I have to go make myself pretty.
All right.
Oh,
So Justin,
that won't take long, David.
Justin, do we have
Bless you,
anything else?
Louise.
Why do you need a new photo? I think your photo's great. I
I
see it
do
every
too.
day.
I
Ew.
do
Oh, okay.
too. But they want to make us look all the same.
Oh, okay.
No, Julie, we don't have anything else today. I just set myself a reminder for April 1st to revisit this. So we will, make plans in April, May, or maybe even June to follow up on this.
Can I suggest March 1st? That way there's
March
time
1st?
to plant before summer.
Yeah,
Certainly.
thanks, Dan.
Sounds good. We better let David go.
Okay, wouldn't want to get in
He's
the
gone.
way of.
He's
Nice
gone
pic-
already.
He was not waiting for our approval.
All right. Well, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay.
Or second, if you were making aye.
All
right.
right. Thanks,
Bye.
Good to see
everybody.
you all. Bye.
Thanks
Okay.
all.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
one.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.